Has the Snyder Cut killed Ava DuVernay's New Gods movie? That's what some people online are speculating because word came yesterday that Warner Brothers has decided not to move forward with it. Also not with James Wan's Trench spinoff. I'm unsure if that was supposed to be a spinoff movie or show. It was supposed to be a horror movie spinoff from the Aquaman franchise featuring the Trench creatures from the Aquaman comics. We saw those in the first Aquaman movie, and it was supposed to be darker. But yesterday it was announced that Warner Brothers ain't moving forward with neither one of them. But the one that got the most attention was the cancellation of New Gods. Or the postponement, right? Because Warner Brothers is also saying they're willing to revisit these projects with these creators in the future. Now, since the date was yesterday, I was wondering, is this an April Fool's? But I don't think so. Let's go into this Heat Vision article about it. There are a couple of reasons, but I think, maybe it's the Snyder Cut. Since the Snyder Cut had Darkseid in it, maybe they're planning to do something else with these characters or continue the SnyderVerse, which doesn't leave room for Ava DuVernay's New Gods. The projects are being shelved, but like many comic characters could come to life down the road. DC Films, led by President Walter Hamada, is leaving the door open to revisit these properties in the future. But insiders note that when it became clear the upcoming DC slate did not have a new natural spot for New Gods or the Trench over the next few years, execs believed it was best not to leave the filmmakers hanging in development without a clear end in sight. So right there, they make it sound like it was a scheduling problem, logistics. DC does have a lot of movies planned, I guess, until 2022 or 2023 right now. That's just next year. And they're also, I'm sure, developing a lot of HBO Max shows. Some, I'm sure, have yet to be announced or start development. So I guess they felt that they're booked. And there was no room for these in the schedule. DC is currently building an interconnected slate in which projects will feed in and out of the big screen and the small, with films such as James Gunn's Suicide Squad, spinning off into the John Cena-led HBO Max series Peacemaker, and Matt Reeves' The Batman, spawning its own Gotham Police Department focused show. And also, the Green Lantern show that's coming on, supposed to start filming, I think this month, right? For a 2022 release. And, Zatanna, the Constantine or Justice League Dark show. So, maybe they really... Oh, there's also what's supposed to be a Batgirl movie. Supergirl. So, maybe they do. Maybe they just have too much going on. Tom, I loved writing New Gods with you, DuVernay wrote on Twitter, along with a photo of herself with King. I'm upset that the saga of Barda, Scott, Granny, Highfather, and the Furies ends this way. I guess we know which characters are going to be featured in her movie. Diving into Kirby's fourth world was the adventure of a lifetime. That can't be taken away. Thank you for your friendship, and remember, #Darkseid is. With the Trench, sources say that the upcoming Aquaman sequel was considered enough, but Warner's could come back to it down the line if there is thirst for more adventures set in the Atlantean kingdoms. It was also considered a possibility for streaming, but it's more of a standalone story rather than having a strong tie-in to Aquaman or the rest of the DC universe. So maybe the Trench was too disconnected from the Aquaman franchise, the way they're going? Because there doesn't seem any valid reason other than that. Maybe they're trying to make things more interconnected than we think. New Gods, which would have been a sprawling tale, was complicated by the fact that its villain Darkseid just appeared as a major foil in Zack Snyder's Justice League, and there was a desire to have space between the latter and any new appearances. Very interesting. So that's alluding to what I was saying before and what people were saying on Twitter. Had the SnyderVerse killed New Gods? I said that in earlier videos I made, that keeping the SnyderVerse going does threaten Ava DuVernay's New Gods because Zack Snyder's doing his version of the New Gods in his movie. Now again, if they're supposed to be doing a multiverse, there's room for both, but maybe, I don't know. Maybe they felt in this case it was too much. Except for the Batman, or maybe, they plan on continuing the SnyderVerse, which means they plan on continuing those characters the way Zack Snyder already made them. Which means, his version of Darkseid, Desaad, Steppenwolf, Granted Goodness and stuff is what everybody wants to go with at Warner Brothers or AT&T. That's a long shot since Warner Brothers seems to hate the SnyderVerse. But if they hated it and want to get rid of it, why are they letting it influence what New Gods is doing? Except for the Batman, which is set on an alternate Earth known to geeks as Earth 2, DC is plotting its films and shows to share the same universe. Key to setting up its new status quo will be the Flash, which will tackle the multiverse and is said to also lend clarity to the future of the Justice League with multiple Batman as well as Supergirl appearing. So yeah, look to the Flash to know what DC's future plan with the movies are, the Hamadaverse, and what, if any, element of the SnyderVerse survives. Other projects in the slate due out in 2022 to 2023 include Warner's and new lines Black Adam and Shazam Fury of the Gods, as well as Warner's Blue Beetle, Batgirl, Supergirl, Green Lantern Corps, and Static Shock. Some of those I've already named earlier in this article. Zatanna and a third Wonder Woman are also in development, while an upcoming Superman from producer J.J. Abrams and screenwriter Ta-Nehisi Coates is too early in development to say if it will be connected to the larger DC universe or if, like the Batman, it will stand on its own. So yeah, that does, you can take a lot of this as face value that, maybe they just have so much going on that they wouldn't be able to do a Trench or New Gods movie until too far in the future. But, considering that they announced announced New Gods in 2018 or 2017, they could have made that by now. As people were pointing out, some people pointed out, Eternals, the Marvel's New Gods-like project in the MCU, Kevin Feige announced that right after New Gods was announced a couple of years ago, and that movie's already done and about to be released later this year. So if they could do that so quickly, why can't DC do that with New Gods, right? Because, DC does like to just announce. Warner Brothers with DC likes to announce all these different projects without having much of a plan. They're still, I think, throwing things at a wall and seeing what sticks. I think they have more of a plan now, but they still got that whole, let's just do all this stuff and see what works kind of attitude, which I think is what New Gods fell victim to. Although New Gods was announced back before DC had its current leadership, so, maybe the DC of today, it's not throwing things on the wall and seeing what sticks anymore, but there's still elements of that from the past, like, the Trench and New Gods. So, hopefully what this means is that from this point forward, when they announce a DC project, it means they really want to make it and they have a space for it. So we'll see. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, please like it on YouTube and subscribe to the channel because I appreciate your viewership, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.